Greetings and welcome to another episode of SPCA Stories. Hope you are all doing well. If you are new to us, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. I'm Dawn Fenton, SPCA Monterey County Content and Education Manager, and we are coming to you from the SPCA Monterey County Claire Jacobson Learning Center in beautiful Salinas, California. My guest this time is Rosanna Isely, Vice President of Operations for SPCA Monterey County. Rosanna oversees our Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation Center, the SPCA Barn, Humane Investigations, the SPCA Behavior Department, and the Facilities Department. Rosanna is passionate about her work. Her knowledge and experience is impressive. I think in the interview, I referred to her as a rock star multiple times. So I'm going to stop because if I say more, it will only embarrass her. I'll just let you listen and see for yourself. A quick note to some of our more sensitive listeners. This episode mentions sensitive subjects such as animal cruelty and neglect, humane euthanasia, and other delicate topics, so please take care while listening. So why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
My name is Rosanna Isely, and I am the Vice President of Operations here at the SPCA.
That's such an important title, and we will get into that. So how long have you been here?
Right about 17 years-ish.
That's a really long time.
Yeah.
And I know, because I want to talk about how you started, because I found that a lot of our people have done a million different jobs here.
Yep.
So tell me about your history.
So I got hired as an animal care tech. So I worked in the kennels and then also worked in customer care for a bit when we were short-staffed. So I did both of those jobs. And then I moved into our Humane Investigations department. From there, I moved into the Wildlife Center manager role. Then I went away for a couple of years, and then I came back as the Wildlife Center manager, became the Assistant Director of Operations, and now I'm the the Vice President of Operations.
And this happened.
Title change.
This happened over 17 years, the course of 17 years or so.
Yes.
So that's incredible. Did you always know you wanted to work with animals?
Yes. I'm one of those lucky people that since I was about 6, I was telling my parents that I wanted to work with animals. I didn't know what I wanted to do with them. I wanted to be a whale trainer for a while. Then I wanted to work with tigers. So it just kind of evolved, but I'm blessed in knowing that this is always what I wanted to do.
So what were you like as a kid?
Rambunctious, loud, which is ironic now. But super curious. I was definitely the kid that brought home like frogs and lizards, and I remember saving 2 pigeons when I was younger, and my dad and I raised them in the backyard, which is totally something I would never do now. But I was always the one trying to go out and find, being outside and trying to find animals and do things with them.
And now you moved around a lot, from
Yes.
what I understand.
I am a military brat and then a State Department brat. So I moved a whole bunch until I was 18, and then actually moved a fair bit on my own when I got older.
So yeah, you're from everywhere.
Yeah.
You're from everywhere. So before I get too far, I like to start my interviews with a compliment, because I want the people out there to know the people who do the work here. So I have the privilege of being a personal friend of Rosanna's, as well as a coworker. And I have always just admired you. And the second I started working here, I just, after I met you, I'm like, this is a rock star. This chick is so smart. And you just carry yourself with such poise. You're not intimidating, but I'm like, this chick is a rock star. I want to be Rosanna when I grow up. And I even think I said that to my husband. You are so well respected, and we're going to get into all the stuff you do here, which is a lot, but you do everything and you handle everyone with such professionalism, but it's personal. You care. These are all things that I saw in like the first 5 minutes of meeting you. So I wanted to let you know how grateful I am for your friendship, first of all, but also for I'm grateful to you because you've been kind of a role model. And I've had moments here where I'm like, what would Rosanna do? How would she handle it? So I just wanted to throw that out there for you, and know that I want you to know you're appreciated by not only by me, but by everyone. And
Well,
that's
thank
like
you.
across the board.
Thank you very much. That's
Well,
very
you're
kind.
welcome. And I'm grateful that you're here to talk to us today. So back into the line of questioning. You have a very big title, which you have earned over the years, and you have a lot of expertise. How do you explain that to people you meet for the first time? Like if you're at a party or you're somewhere and people are like, so Rosanna, what do you do? How do you describe what you do to someone who has no idea?
A lot of that actually depends on how much of a conversation I want to get into.
That's a good point.
As with anything, right? You pick and choose.
Uh-huh.
But when like someone in depth asks me about my role, I will say I oversee our barn department, our behavior department, our disaster response, our facilities, our humane investigations unit, and our wildlife department, which inevitably causes them to go, wow, you're really busy.
I was going to ask, do their eyes get
am.
like huge and they go, okay, wow.
So it's a big job title. I'm lucky and blessed to have staff that work their tails off. So it helps make my job a little bit easier, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Inevitably, we talk about in most of my interviews about how amazing just the staff is in general. And I think we talked about all the different jobs that you held here before your current job, all the different roles you played. And it's amazing to see that so many people, they'll go away and then they'll come back. And I think that speaks volumes to this organization in general.
I tell people that all the time, that the people here and what they do are one of the reasons that I came back. Because I think we take good care of our people, which I think is huge.
Yes.
But everyone who is here is working because it's something that they are passionate about.
Yes.
And that's a hard, and I've, even when not being here, working in conservation and working in the animal field is very common to what you see. But we have a very special community. And that was one of the reasons that I came back to it.
Yes. Yeah. And you're right. We definitely are well taken care of. And because the work is hard.
It is.
There's some great stuff, a lot of great stuff, a lot of fun stuff, but it's difficult.
I always tell people that simultaneously this job is the best job and the worst job I've ever had.
Tell me about that.
It's got such good days. Some days you can make a difference, and the days that you feel like you really knocked it out of the park. And then it's got the days where just nothing seems to work, or the case doesn't go the way you want it to, or that animal's journey doesn't go the way you wanted it to, or you were hoping it did. Or even more, you start thinking this is going to be great, and then you're like, nope, that's not going to work out. And it's so many highs and lows here. And that's a lot. It's a lot to put on someone, much less to do it. Sometimes it feels like every day. So this work is truly something you have to love doing.
Yeah.
Because it'll take a lot out of you.
Yes. Yes. And it's important to have self-care and, things that you do. It's very easy to take it home with you. And it's very easy to feel like you need to work 24/7 because it is a passion. It's people who love animals really love animals. And that's everybody who works here. How do you turn the day off? What do you have something that you like
Sometimes
to do?
that depends on the day. Some days are harder to turn off than others. I'm super crafty, which is something not as many people know about me. I make jewelry, I crochet. It's a lot of kind of repetitive movement for me because it gives me the brain space. Like all I have to do is count or move things, gives me something to focus on entirely, which is sometimes what my brain needs to let go. I love being outside. I'm a big outdoorsy hiker. I paddle, or used to paddle, on a Hawaiian outrigger canoe team. I haven't done much of that since having the baby. Now my life is mostly toddler. Though I will say he has been great for work-life balance because you don't have a choice. Like I can't go home and just be like, oh, let me think about all the things because I'm chasing a 2-year-old around.
Got a little one who needs you, who
So
needs
that was
all
a
of you.
unexpected thing, in addition to him being the joy of my life, which he is.
He's pretty cute.
Yeah, he is.
He is pretty darn cute. I know this because I know him. He's adorable. So we talked a little bit about how you come from everywhere. Was there a particular pet that you had that really kind of inspired what you do? Was there one? I mean, tell me about I know you have pets now. I know you've got
Yes, I've
some
got
lovely dogs.
my 2 old kiddos, my senior citizen house with my 2 old dogs. We got a dog when I was about 5, when we lived in Hawaii at the time, and he moved for the next 16 years with us. We took him to Malaysia when we moved there. We took him to Mexico, oh no, sorry, he wasn't. That was after. But he moved around within the States, internationally. For our family, we were very lucky that we were able to do that with him. He did all the paperwork, had to do all the quarantines, and just got bounced back and forth to wherever we were. It's funny now because working in the animal field now, he was really great with our family, but he was not fantastic with anyone else. So I guess I started that early. But he was just kind of always my buddy because we got him when I was little until I was in college. So we didn't have many other pets other than him. Got some birds and stuff, but he was kind of my friend. We hung out. His name was Spock. My dad's a Trekkie. He had these great big pointed ears. So yeah.
Yeah, there's, I find that we all have, there's one pet. We love all our pets, but a lot of times there's one that kind of inspires the journey.
Your heart dog.
Yeah, your heart dog. Absolutely. Tell me about your education, your educational journey.
My educational journey. So I have a bachelor's of science in zoology. And that was because I knew I wanted to work with animals, but I didn't know where. The ironic thing is that when I went into college, the one thing I did not want to do was work with birds. Because birds to me were like, meh, there's a lot of them. They're like bird people who are, know the bird things, but I was kind of like, okay, whatever. And now most of my career has been in or around working with birds.
Oh, how the tables turn.
Irony, man. Shows you how the world has a funny sense of humor sometimes. So I did not take ornithology in college. It was one of the only animal classes I didn't take for my degree. But it is probably the one I could have used the most later on in life.
You went to Hawaii for a while, right?
I did. I actually worked with some of the most endangered birds in North America, which always made me laugh because here I was working with something that there were less of 100 left of working in the world. They were extinct. They still are extinct in the wild, actually. But I never took an ornithology class, and here I was working with one of the most endangered birds on the planet. So
amazing.
Kind of funny.
I think you told me that one of the birds that you worked with is now back out there or something.
So they just re-released a cohort of alala is what the name of it's the native Hawaiian crow, and there's 5 of them that are living in the wild. They were actually released once for a couple of years. The release didn't go as well because they're still running into all of the man-made issues that caused their kind of plummet in the first place. They were actually translocated to Maui, where they released a cohort a couple of months ago. And so far, they're doing great. I'm following their journey because I'm invested in them. So it's funny to think that I had a part of that. I mean, it's cool, but
so cool.
My hope is that they've got a lot of awesome, dedicated people working for their success, and that you just hope the best for them.
See, and this is another reason why we're so lucky to have you, because you have such knowledge and, there's an expertise there that, where else are we going to find that? Rosanna.
It is
Rosanna
fun now
Isely.
because when the wildlife center gets eggs, they'll call me every now and then, and I get to run up and be like, oh, I used to do this all the time. It's because, I talked about wanting to work at zoos and wanting to do all these things. And I got an internship as a wildlife rehabber about 2 years out of college, finally, and thought, wow, this actually might be what I want to do for my life. I had never heard of it. I didn't know that wildlife rehab was a thing. I mean, I guess I did in some sense, but I had never really thought about it. And started doing it and thought, this is pretty cool, which is one of the reasons that kind of brought me over to looking into more less captive animal stuff and more into wildlife rehab or general daily care.
So and forgive me if I'm jumping around, your timeline is there's such an expanse there. So Humane Investigations.
That's a funny story, actually. I used to tease my old boss about. So I was working in animal care, just kind of, doing my thing. Like I said, I had worked in customer care for a little while as well. And I was eating lunch one day, and Lisa Heffler, who was my mentor and former boss, walked into the lunchroom to get something out of the vending machines, turned around and looked at me and said, "Hi, Rosanna." And I had no idea that she even knew who I was.
Wow.
Didn't know that she knew my name, certainly. So I kind of went, "Hi." She said, "Have you ever thought about becoming a humane officer?" And I said, "No." She said, "I think you should think about it." Picked up her soda, walked out the door. I always tell her it was one of her coolest moments.
She is also a rock star, by the way.
She is amazing. Truly, truly an amazing woman.
Do you think we could get her in to do this with me?
Good luck with that. Good luck.
Well, Lisa
so I thought about it for a while and then thought, I guess applying doesn't hurt. And that's how I ended up there. A job that I also really loved.
Who is the most influential person in your life?
Personally or professionally?
Both.
Personally, my parents. I can't really pick one. They're amazing. But they were always just so incredibly supportive and just so about us each pursuing our dreams. And when I look at me and my siblings, we're really, really blessed to have had that.
Wow.
And professionally, Lisa, she has a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has a way. And it's super cool. And it's neat to not only have been a part of that, but to actually still have her as someone that I can call up and just be like, "Hey, I need to talk this through." Because as much as we all want to think that we know all the things, none of us know all the things.
Absolutely.
None of us even know half the things. And it's so nice to be able to have someone that I can talk through the really hard ones with.
Yeah, I was going to ask. That's another question that I have: is who do you ever get stuck? And,
yes.
And who would that person be who you would maybe call and run things by? And you just answered that. So Lisa Heffler.
Yeah, and I think people need to remember that it's okay to get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
That the thing I love about working in operations and overseeing all of my departments, the ones that I'm familiar with and the ones that I wasn't as familiar with when I started, is that I love learning. I think life just gives you such an amazing opportunity with that.
Mm-hmm.
And this job, and I guarantee if you talk to anyone that works here, you're constantly learning new things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even if you don't want to.
Yeah.
And so I'm blessed because working in ops, I get to do all this different stuff, and I'm just constantly learning new things every day.
Mm-hmm. What's the hardest part about your job?
The decisions we have to make sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
An animal, sometimes a person, sometimes, dealing with an angry customer. I think a lot of it circles back to the animals with us.
Mm-hmm.
But there are hard calls that you have to make, hard decisions you have to make.
Yeah.
And you do it with compassion and with empathy. And there's a lot of people who don't work in this field who don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually probably is the hardest part.
What would you like those people to know?
I'd like them to know that everyone who works here works their tails off and does it because they are trying to do the best they can for the animals that we touch in whatever way, whether it be someone who works in administration, who's doing the behind the scenes work, whether it's someone who is doing the actual care, the actual touching, the loving, the sometimes euthanizing, depending on the job, who's having to make those decisions or make those calls, or who supports the people that makes those decisions. They are the people that you want on your side. And that's pretty cool.
What's the best part?
Room full of puppies and kittens and birds and, leopard geckos, which I personally love. I think it's knowing that that animal that you've worked so hard with is getting adopted or going back out into the wild. And the people that helped make that happen all kind of rolls into this pretty awesome package.
If you could change one thing about your job, what would it be?
It's a lot of brain power some days. Like, sometimes I wish I just knew the answer.
And maybe there's just not enough coffee in the world.
Maybe there's not enough coffee in
or
the world.
tea or whatever it is that you're
there's a lot of it that I think in more stressed out or more tired times I'd be like, oh God, I wish this. But really sometimes it's just a lot of brain power.
Mm-hmm.
And some days that just takes a lot out of you. But overall, there's not like a daily thing that I would change. Actually, that's not true. Maybe not sitting at my desk as much. Never thought I'd have a desk job.
Well, I'm sure that there are some days that you're at your desk more.
Yes.
And then there may be other days where you're up and...
Yeah, I'm up and moving a lot, so I guess I can't complain much.
Yeah, you oversee a lot of departments that are very physical in nature. So I see you not wandering. That's not the word. You're not wandering. You have purpose. But yeah, I see you out there talking to people and getting stuff done. So rock star, that's who you are. Is there something that, something surprising that you've learned about yourself in your journey here?
This sounds odd. When I started in HI, I remember the first couple weeks thinking, oh God, I don't know if I can do this job. I don't. Like, it's so high and low. And then it sounds funny, I worked my first fire, which was just insanity. To get out there and really be helping people who've been affected by natural disaster, who don't know where to go or what to do, and to be able to give them just a tiny little sliver of peace. Or at least to let them know that we're trying to get back, we're trying to get your animals here, we're helping with this, we're helping with that. Mm-hmm. I thought, okay, I think I can do that. And then as I worked in HI more, I thought, oh, I can do this too. And I don't think I knew that when I started.
Huh.
I think that was a surprise to me. I thought, man, maybe I'll do it for 6 months until I can find something else. But I was surprised at how good it made me feel, even when you have really bad days.
What advice would you give someone who is interested in, I guess, animal welfare in general, but they don't know where to start?
I think that is very common. And what I always tell people when they ask me is just volunteer or get an internship. Just try different things. Because the breadth of what you can do working with animals is so much bigger than what a lot of people think it is, which is being a veterinarian or working at a zoo. Mm-hmm. I think that's what a lot of people think when they say, oh yeah, I want to work with animals. There's so much more that you can do, and there's so much you can evolve and grow into. Everything from even, what your staff does with educating kids, that's a huge part of creating a future for what we want animal welfare to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked I worked kids camps when I was getting started in my career, and I taught at the Natural History Museum and like all these things that I never would have thought would have been a part of that journey. But it is, because you're helping mold them into the humans we want them to be.
Yeah.
And that is no small feat.
It's interesting. It's having the kids around. So depending on when people are listening to this, they may be like, it's not summer. But right now, as we record this, it's summer. And so we have kids camp happening, and it's in this building. So I'm like a fly on the wall, and I get to hear all of the questions and these little brilliant little minds are, they're working away and they're asking these amazing questions. And it occurred to me, they know a little bit more about how we do what we do and why we do what we do here at the SPCA. And, they're not, and this is perfect because they're kids, so they're not really afraid to ask the questions. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And like you said, we're molding these aware citizens. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat that they're getting the exposure, and
all the little ways here that we're able to touch them, whether they bring us, we had a mom bring some baby birds that they found outside their house with her 3 kids. And I was listening to her as they were walking out the door yesterday afternoon, because I happened to be up there helping out. And we had given her a card with the numbers of the birds they could call and check on them. And her daughter, who was probably 6, was asking, why, Mommy? Why would we be checking? And she said, well, because we want to see how they're doing. And the little girl was like, but they're going to take care of them. And it was so funny because it was just like so certain.
Yeah.
But, I heard her as the door closed behind her, well, we're going to call and check on the little birds because these people are helping the birds that we rescued. And the kids were like, oh, okay. But it's, those little touches, like the kids camp, that even just coming to the adoption center and walking around, going to the clinic and, getting, having your parents come and bring your dog to get fixed and having them come back. And I'm sure there's a conversation about that because kids ask questions about everything. Yeah. Even you watch them walking by the barn. Why are there horses here? It's the thousands of little touches that we have every day. It should make each of us feel like we're really making a difference. Those tiny little ripples, right? Isn't there some proverb about that?
Yeah. No, it's pretty amazing. And your team, your big team, all the different departments you oversee have been amazing and really helpful and impactful. So again,
they are. I hope they know that. That's something I hope my team, everyone that works here, regardless of what department that they're in, I hope they all know what a big impact they make every day.
To the kids, they're rock stars. Everybody walking around here wearing a blue shirt is a rock star. So it's really great to see that. So, and to be part of it. And so thank you for allowing your staff, because I know they're busy, but the half an hour they spend with our campers and our the kids that we educate is huge. So it's appreciated for sure.
They love it too.
So what are your hopes for the future of animal welfare in our community here in Monterey?
I think it's a overarching goal that when it comes down to it, I guess, is keeping people educated, letting people know that the resources that they have, whether they be with us or with some other mobile clinic or vet clinic or, maybe even a neighbor or something, it's helping people realize that there are people here to help. I mean, obviously the number one thing we talk about all the time is pet overpopulation. And I think we are really trying to expand in that to offer help to maybe some of the areas of our county that we aren't close to, because we're kind of out in the boonies if you haven't ever been here. And we have a big county. But for us here, I hope that we can help the community or help support other agencies that are trying to help the community to make everyone feel like they've got someone who's got their back when it comes to their animals.
Is there any question that you wish I had asked you?
No.
It's okay if there's not.
Like, I feel like we covered a broad stroke of things here.
Yes. This is a very broad interview because Rosanna's work here is very specific, but there's a broad. We have to start, I think, with the broad strokes.
It is funny. That's, like I said, that's one of the benefits of my job is I get to feel like I have a little bit of a foot in kind of a bunch of different places, which for me helps me from getting sedentary or getting bored because I'm constantly like everything's going great, but there's a issue, something over here we need to fix or something over here we need to work on. And then the next day it's a completely different space. And even though parts of my job are very methodical, there's always the admin work, right? Always the stuff you got to do. There's so much that changes every day. And that's one of the reasons I really like what I do.
Is there anything that people don't know about you that they would be surprised?
Well, I don't know if people would be surprised, but I'm kind of a nerd in all facets. In addition to, as my husband jokingly refers to, as a lot of us who work in the field do refer to me as a bird nerd. I'm just kind of an animal nerd in general. Like, I'm that person at a party that will totally throw out, like, you know this about me, Dawn. Totally throw out, like, random animal facts because that's my way of coping. But also, like I said, my dad was a Trekkie, so I've seen probably every Star Trek episode that exists on the planet Earth. I know Star Wars much better than most people should. I read incessantly, or did before I had a baby. Lots of fantasy, lots of sci-fi. So I've, there's a couple of my staff that we joke about, like our little hidden nerd qualities. And I definitely, that's my, actually, to answer one of your other questions, that's another one of my escapes, is that it is something that is completely imaginary. It gives me a place to go. That, and I watch crime documentaries, but that's a me and Amanda thing, so.
I do too. I think, the true crime thing. That's
all about it.
Yeah, I'm definitely all about that too. Well, so this is not the last people will be hearing from you, because I'm definitely going to have you back so we can get a little more nitty-gritty into, things like disaster prep and
I would love to talk about disaster stuff.
So we'll definitely.
I will nerd out on that anytime.
Well, that's on the schedule. So we are going to nerd out about disaster preparedness for your pets. So that's definitely something that's going to happen. But I want to thank you so much for your friendship, because you've been a great friend to me and a great role model. And like I said, it's what would Rosanna do? I do think that it happens. And thank you so much for your passion and your expertise. And we are so lucky. SPCA Monterey County, we hit the jackpot. We hit the jackpot with you, and we're so lucky to have you. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for spending time with everybody who's here. I think getting everyone out there, like you said, to find the people behind the job, I think is really amazing, because we got a lot of rock stars here.
I agree. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for tuning in. We would love to hear from you. If you have questions, comments, or just want to say hello, you can drop me an email at dfenton@spcamc.org. You can find more information about all our programs and services at our website, spcamc.org. A tremendous thank you to all SPCA staff, volunteers, and board of directors. And of course, a heartfelt thank you to our generous supporters. We at SPCA Monterey County could not do what we do for the animals and people in our community without you. If you would like to support us, and that would be most appreciated, you can find that information at spcamc.org. If you like what you hear, please drop a like or give us a rating or a thumbs up on whatever platform you listen in on. Those ratings help us reach more and more animal lovers. I'm Dawn Fenton, signing off until next time. Much unconditional love to you and your pets from us here at SPCA Monterey County.